People always say Philosopher's Stone is the most faithful book-to-movie adaptation in the whole Harry Potter series, and honestly, they're not wrong. But faithful doesn't mean complete. There are characters who were literally filmed and then deleted, entire challenge rooms that never made it to the screen, and moments the movie swapped out without most people even noticing. Today we're going through everything the Philosopher's Stone movie cut out. Let's get into it. The Sorting Hat's song and the alphabetical order. Let's start at the sorting ceremony, because the movie cuts more from this scene than most people realize. In the book, before a single student gets sorted, the Sorting Hat performs a song. It sings a full musical number out loud to the entire Great Hall, introducing itself, explaining how the four founders placed their wisdom inside it so it could do the sorting for them. The movie skips all of it. On top of that, in the book the students are sorted in alphabetical order by last name. That detail matters for Harry because P comes late in the alphabet, meaning he has to stand there watching student after student walk up to the stool while his anxiety builds. The movie calls Harry up almost immediately, which removes all of that dread. There's also a more subtle difference. In the book, the Hat's conversation with Harry is completely private. Only Harry can hear it thinking inside his head. Nobody in the Great Hall knows what's being said. In the film, the Hat announces its deliberations out loud to the whole school. The filmmakers changed this probably for clarity, but in the book, the sorting feels like a secret between Harry and the Hat. 3 separate changes to one scene, and together they make it noticeably different from what Rowling wrote. Peeves the Poltergeist. This is the most famous cut in the history of the Harry Potter films. In the books, Peeves is a poltergeist who haunts Hogwarts. He's not a ghost, he's pure chaos. He shows up constantly throughout the Philosopher's Stone alone, throwing things at students, trying to snitch on Harry and his friends for being out of bed after hours, writing rude words on blackboards. He's also one of the funniest characters Rowling ever created. Now here's where the story gets wild. Peeves was actually cast for the movie. The British comedian Rick Mayall, known for The Young Ones and Drop Dead Fred, was hired to play him. He filmed all of his scenes. The footage exists to this day. And then he was completely cut. Director Chris Columbus and producer David Heyman said they were unhappy with the character's design. There's also the story that Mayall kept making the child extras burst out laughing during filming, which didn't help production. Columbus has since called cutting Peeves one of his biggest regrets. In a 2021 interview, he said directly, "We have to put Peeves back in the movie, who was cut from the movie." The original cut of the film was close to 3 hours long. When they trimmed it down to 2.5 hours for theatrical release, Peeves was one of the casualties. Because he was cut from the first movie, he was never included in any of the sequels either. He simply doesn't exist in the film universe, despite being one of the most beloved characters in the entire book series. Neville in the Forbidden Forest. This one is a smaller cut, but it matters for how Neville's character reads. In the movie, Harry, Hermione, and Draco serve detention in the Forbidden Forest. Neville is nowhere to be seen in that scene. In the book, Neville is there too, and there's a real reason why. When Draco found out that Harry and Hermione were sneaking out to hand Norbert over to Charlie Weasley's friends, he intended to get them caught. Neville found out what Draco was planning and snuck out of Gryffindor Tower specifically to warn Harry and Hermione. He was caught by Professor McGonagall in the process. So Neville earned his detention by trying to protect his friends. That's exactly who he is. In the book, the 4 of them, Harry, Hermione, Neville, and Draco, all go into the Forbidden Forest together. At one point, Draco deliberately sneaks up behind Neville and grabs him in the dark to scare him. Neville panics and fires sparks from his wand into the air to signal Hagrid. It's a great scene that shows both how scared Neville is and how Draco uses that fear against him. The movie drops Neville entirely from this scene, and Ron replaced him. The Mirror of Araed. The movie shows Harry at the Mirror of Araed twice. The book treats it very differently. In the book, Harry becomes genuinely obsessed with the mirror. He starts sneaking out multiple nights in a row under his invisibility cloak just to go back and stare at the image of his family. Ron gets worried about him. The visits keep happening until eventually Dumbledore is there waiting for him, specifically because Harry has been returning so many times. The movie compresses all of this into a couple of brief scenes, which means it also loses the weight of what Dumbledore actually says. In the book, Dumbledore explains that the mirror shows the deepest desire of a person's heart, and that it gives neither knowledge nor truth. He tells Harry that the happiest person alive would look into it and see only themselves, exactly as they are. Then he tells Harry the mirror is going to be moved and asks him not to go looking for it again. That warning matters, because the reason the mirror can't just hand the stone to Quirrell at the end of the story is tied directly to this logic. Only someone who wants to find the stone but not use it can retrieve it. The setup in the book makes the payoff feel earned in a way the movie version slightly doesn't. There's also one more detail the movie changes. In the book, when Harry looks into the mirror, he sees not just his parents, but his entire extended family, grandparents, relatives, a whole crowd of people he never knew. In the film, he only sees his mom and dad. A smaller change, but it lands differently when you know what Rowling actually wrote. Snape's potion riddle. This is the biggest cut in the entire movie, and it directly changes the ending. In the movie, Harry, Ron, and Hermione get through Devil's Snare, find the flying key, play the chess match, and then Harry goes forward alone to face Quirrell. In the book, there are 7 challenges, each set by a different teacher to protect the stone. Snape's challenge is a row of 7 bottles. Some are poison, some send you forward, some send you back. There's only enough forward potion for one person, and the twist is that magic doesn't work in that room at all. It's a pure logic puzzle. Hermione solves it. And then she turns to Harry and tells him, only one of us can go forward. Harry takes the forward potion and heads into the final chamber. Hermione takes the backward potion and goes back alone. That's a real goodbye. That's Hermione at her absolute best, solving an unsolvable problem with nothing but her brain, in a room where her wand is useless, and then calmly sending her friend forward into danger while she returns alone. Director Chris Columbus confirmed in a 2025 interview that this scene was dropped purely because the film was already running close to 3 hours. He specifically named it as one of the things he most wishes he could have included. The movie cuts that challenge completely. Hermione just stays behind with an injured Ron after the chess game, and that real goodbye never happens. How Quirrell dies. Quick one, but it genuinely changes Harry's character. In the movie's final confrontation, Harry realizes his touch burns Quirrell, and he grabs Quirrell's face with both hands and actively holds on until Quirrell crumbles to dust. In the book, it works completely differently. Quirrell is the one who keeps reaching for Harry, and every time he does, his own hands blister and burn. Harry doesn't fully understand what's happening. Eventually, Quirrell becomes so badly burned that he can't continue, and then Voldemort abandons his host body, which is what actually kills Quirrell. Harry doesn't kill him. Voldemort leaving is what does it. It's a meaningful difference. Book Harry defeats Quirrell without making a conscious choice to harm anyone. Movie Harry grabs a man's face and holds on until he turns to dust. The Philosopher's Stone movie is still a great film. For what it had to do, launch an entire franchise, introduce millions of people to this world in 2.5 hours, it pulled it off. But the book underneath it has more in it than most people who only watch the films ever got to experience. And this is just book 1. If you want me to do Chamber of Secrets next, drop it in the comments. Leave a like if you learned something new, and I'll see you in the next one.